And we're back at the shop again. Surprise, surprise. This Drift Week prep continues and things are happening. I've got all my wheels back from the coating process at Polydyne. They did an amazing job. And so I went ahead and had them ceramic coated as well. And then Xander's in here helping me get the rear end all ready for paint. We've been working on this forever. So now I've got the fuel filter bracket, I've got the water pump bracket, I've got the water tank bracket done. Everything's fabricated. Everything is 100%. And then Rivers is over here stripping her naked. No more stickers, look at this. So we're gonna redo parts of the livery. I'm gonna touch up a lot of the paint. You can see some of the parts are definitely needing a little bit of love. You know, it's been like that for a little over a year. And then under the hood, we've got other things happening. We've got the turbo housing coated and the charge pipes and everything. And I'm also having to weld up this water line to allow my use of this new -20 AN water line. So yeah, all things are happening. It is happening quick. Here's those dope parts from Polydyne. So this is coated on the outside with a ceramic coat and on the inside with a really slick coating. They call it super slick. All of the charge pipe, intake pipe, and turbo all done the same way. So that should improve the airflow, improve throttle response, and reduce the heat as well. So all good things. And yeah, we've got the wiring just kind of pushed out of the way here. I welded all this stuff up to make it as nice as I could in the time that I had. And now it's time to get it all painted because that beautiful fuel cell has got to go in its place. The fuel system is finally going in. I'm really excited about that part. This is the beautiful new cell. I think I've mentioned 100 times already. Just for comparison, here's the old fuel system. Failed Bosch pumps. I did have a nice FUELAB pump, which got me through the rest of the year. And then just the old lines and everything and the filter. Honestly, it's not like it's bad. It's just, you know, dirty and old and not as good as the new stuff. So here is the new setup. This is everything I have to work with here. It took forever to get it organized just for this video. So give me the thumbs up if you guys like it. But yeah, we've got a couple of filters here. So I'm gonna utilize FUELAB's 70 micron filter. And then well actually I pointed them wrong. 70 micron and then 6 micron glass filter. I've got a couple extra elements for it. A couple extra socks for the pickup and the pump. These are really neat too because you can change the inlet and outlet on them, and so you can orient it right. So before, when they shipped it, the FUELAB logo was gonna be upside down. I can't have that, right? So FUELAB logo now will be up, and I can just change the in and out and do it that way. Fairly straightforward. This is the stainless 70 micron filter. So that'll get dropped in there. And then the 6 micron, I can actually show you guys what it looks like. It's basically that with a really fine fiberglass element inside. So it almost looks identical, but it's got that extra goodness in there. So yeah, that should keep everything nice and clean. I also have a FUELAB fuel pressure regulator. This is a rising rate, comes with a nice bracket and everything, so I'll be putting that in. And then here are some of the adapters and stuff I'm dealing with to get everything to work with the new PTFE lines into the system. So just so you guys know how expensive Drift Week and any kind of race car preparation is, each one of these fittings is between 10 and 20 bucks depending on the size and the orientation. Most of them around $15, especially considering I'm getting them shipped you know, quickly and I have to order like, I feel like something new every other day. But here we go. This is supplied by FUELAB, and then the rest of these I had to purchase just to make the system work. So, you know, a couple different solutions, a 90, a 180. This is for PTFE lines, some unions, some adapters to go from 8 to 6. and so forth. Here's all my 8 stuff, same thing, PTFE line compatible fittings, some plugs and blocks, and a adapter. Here's a 45, here's a 90. You notice these are smooth radius, they're not the chunky square style ones, so these are going to be good for flow and keep everything happy. And a couple of bungs if needed. This is the fill neck that I adapted, so I had to weld on it a little bit and painted it. Came out really nice. And then this is just the plate that was for the swirl tank, which I probably won't use. And then I've just got a bunch of extra stuff just in case. Here's the PTFE line. You guys saw me wrap with the PTP heat shrink. I've got my little fill set up there. Here's the water tank and the water pump for the tire sprayers. So what we're gonna do here is basically take a look here at the pump. You guys can see I've got it blocked off right here. I should have this covered, but I'm keeping really careful about it. But anyway, this is the outlet here. You can clock this a little bit. You can't go full 180 or full 360 because of the orientation of the pump below with the little baffle box in there. But it works really good, and I don't know exactly where I'm gonna end up having this oriented. I might just turn it back to where it shoots out that way and so forth. One thing that I thought was really cool, I'm just nerding out about this, is this plug right here. So these are the 3 returns. I'm only gonna need to use one of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug 2 of the others. And this plug was just so clean. I mean, look how nice that looks. It came out. This is the typical hex head plug. Doesn't look nearly as good. I was able to find these nice low profile Allen head plugs. So I don't know, nerd stuff, I like that. Just keeps it an overall clean look. It should look really good when it's all installed. One other thing I want to point out, just so you guys at home, if you buy one of these, you have to have a rollover valve, which has a little ball in it. These do not come with its stock or standard. That is just ready to go for one. So I went ahead and bought one. Just one more thing, you know, that just adds to the puzzle here. So this has got the ball valve in it. So this has to be mounted in a way that, you know, if the car were to roll over, it's not going to just dump fuel out of the vent. The ball valve will stop it from getting fuel all over the place and catching on fire. All right. And then of course, just some tools and stuff like that. I didn't point that out. So next step is just assembling this stuff, figuring out how it goes into the car. I've got it pretty well mapped out in my head, but you know, in theory or in reality, maybe quite different. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the cell in next, and then I can start to figure out the wiring and the lines and get it all started to build from there. Okay, I've got the pump out now. You guys can check it out here. It's all looking good. This is their twin screw brushless pump with a little sock on it right here. I'm just kind of inspecting it. You're able to clock the sock however you want, just kind of be careful with it, but it does twist on the housing here. So that's nice. And I've gone ahead and put the little bit of the right stuff here on this gasket, just because I am a freak for that stuff and I put it on all over everything. And then I'm doing my due diligence here. Oh, where'd the flashlight go? There it goes. So I'm doing my due diligence here to look inside. Maybe you guys can see this now, the little trap doors in there. But I haven't, you know, let this completely be covered the whole time. So I've just got my vacuum here. I'm gonna make sure to get everything sucked out of there and cleaned up to make sure there's absolutely no debris at all. This is all clean and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of the right stuff on here. That's that gasket maker that I love. Same with this one, just a tiny little thin bead, just to make absolutely sure that these surfaces seal, and I have no problems at all because I don't ever want to have to take this thing out again if I can help it. All right, so I've got this figured out exactly where I'm gonna put it. I am gonna orient the pump just like this with the out coming straight directly forward towards the front of the car. So that means that I need to put on a 90-degree fitting like this. They actually include this one for you, or at least they did on this my package, so that was nice. So I'm gonna screw this on. And the way that this works is you have this jam nut right here. So you basically get this oriented where you want, and then you tighten the jam nut, and that holds everything in place so that it won't move on you. Now, one thing you need to note is that you cannot put this on, this type of fitting, when this is bolted to the cell. You guys see when it rotates, the tip of this goes lower than the face of the flange. So you gotta do this beforehand, get it clocked where you want it, and then go ahead and tighten this jam nut and then install the pump into the cell. Otherwise, it won't work. And then here, I'm gonna go ahead and put my plug. You guys see that it's got a brand new O-ring on it. So the plug can go here, and the other one is gonna go right here. And then the last step will be to put this adapter from this return. You guys can see the return is really simple. It just dumps into the cell, right into the little sump part. And so this return, wait, actually that's the wrong one. This is the one I need. I'm gonna use a -6 return line. So I have a 8 ORB to 6 adapter with an O-ring. And then from here, I'm gonna do a 180. And then that is going to get a union. You can see why this can add up to cost so damn much. So that's gonna end up like that. And then the fitting from the line will go onto here, and it will kind of just like follow this one as it runs down the cell. So that's the idea. I think that looks nice and clean. I can, you know, position this or clock this wherever I want, and it should just be a nice, solid, simplified install that looks really good and is functional. They also include these little fuel safe O-rings. Oh, hi. Hello. What you doing, little guy? Oh. Coming to build some stuff? All right. So I'm going ahead and replacing all the O-rings with the blue ones that FUELAB supplies. And I went ahead and put some of the right stuff here on the threads, just for good measure. I know it's kind of overkill / unnecessary, but you know what? I don't care. All right, that's all done, looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the tank. So really thin coating of this, or layer rather. All right, the moment of truth. The moment I've been wanting to see this entire time. All this work. Just in time, soul. All right, there it goes. What do you think, Soul? Does that look good, pup? Yeah, that looks great. Heck yeah, it does. Ooh, it's a good boy. Oh, it's such a good boy. Sick, dude. Hell yeah, I'm hyped. Update. It is 1:10. Not trying to say that it's too late, because I've certainly stayed up way later than this. But anyway, car's coming along. So I talked about playing like Legos, adult Legos, right? What do I mean by that? Well, I mean this sort of thing. I've got this problem now that I have to solve. It's getting a line from this fuel output to the fuel filter's input and adding the secondary filter in between. Because I'll be quite honest, this was just supposed to be a spare, and I thought about it more and more, and I have a 70 micron filter element and a 6 micron filter element, so why not stage the filtration where the 70 can pick up all the big junk and it doesn't stress or clog the 6 micron, you know, and it allows it to stay filtration or stay a unclogged filter for longer. So that's what I decided to try and use both, but that kind of screws me on the line situation, because the original design, you know, I only ordered parts for it, and to be honest, I don't want to spend any more money, and I don't want to wait any more time for shipping. So I've got options. That's why I have so many of these damn fittings. But if I look in here, I have to decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to use a 45? Do I want to use a 90? What do I have at my disposal? I have couplers, I have adapters, I have, you know, weird stuff, but I've got a pretty decent selection. However, not a lot of these are working for what I'm looking for. So basically, I have a couple limitations. I do have a whole bunch of extra line, but it's not PTFE, and PTFE is the stuff that is good for protecting against alcohol fuels, E85, ethanol. That's what I want to run because that's what makes the most horsepower, to quote Mr. Pumphrys himself. But yeah, so this is a, you know, multi-use cell, but the idea is that it will be able to be safe for a long time with the alcohol fuel. So I've got the PTFE line fuel feed line, and then the return line I don't have on yet. But getting, you know, something adapted here is part of the trick, or the kicker. And so I've got this 90-degree adapter that goes from female to male, and that can screw right onto the top of the filter inlet, which is right here. And so going from here along this area to the out, you know, I could do something like this, but then how does that help me? Well, let's find out. That allows me to flip this filter around. Now, obviously, when I do final install, there is a specific in and out, but for now, for testing purposes, if I just have this line go straight to the top there, then I have this gap that I have to fill up somehow. And I don't have a little line that short, so maybe then I should do it like this. Okay, that's nice and clean. That's how I initially intended for this system to look, with this mounted on the fuel cell strap on top. Boom, like that, label out. But now I have to go from here to here, okay? So getting it to go from there to there, I have to have specific fittings that will work. And so that's when we go and check in all the bins. I have my bins labeled 6 a.m. Okay, so open her up. And this is just my random bin full of different fittings and lines. Well, lines, I guess, mostly. There's a little short boy. It's got a straight on one end, but it's not PTFE. You see that? It's just a rubber line. So most of these I can't use. Some of them I can. That's PTFE right there. But it's just an empty line. It doesn't have any fittings on it, so that doesn't help me either. Alright, this right here is a push lock, and it doesn't have any PTFE protection. It's also like rock solid and it's ugly, so I wouldn't put that on this build. Also, just so you guys know, you should never put a clamp on a push lock. Whoever did this didn't know what they were doing, but it could have been me. But anyway, that's just in the spare bin for a reason. This one here, that's a really nice line. Crimped fitting, banjo, 45, doesn't help. There's another banjo one. So, my options are limited, right? So now I go over to the fitting option. Can I like stack or add multiple, you know, adapters? I've got a 45 here, I've got another 90. I've got a union, both male or female, so I can lengthen it. That starts to get expensive and ghetto. Not saying I'm above that, but each one of these being, you know, around 12, 15 bucks or so. Some of them more. These are like 25 a piece. These are like 20, 22 a piece. Depends on the brand. This is an Earl's, for you nerds who are wondering. Yeah, it gets expensive. Each one of these, PTFE line one, is about 20 something bucks. So yeah, gets to be where, you know, you're tired of spending money just to get fuel from your cell to your damn engine. So I could also make one. That's kind of what this idea of the project was. I have some metal that's just, you know, ready for use. A couple of gentle bends, different options, and some straight. And, you know, I went ahead and cut a fitting in half. This is a steel fitting, so I can easily weld on it. I, you know, sanded it smooth or flat. And that could butt up against something like this, be welded, you know, and create my own sort of fitting. And I could shape it and do it and fabricate it, you know. So that's an option. Obviously that takes more time, less money. That's always the trade-off. So what do I do? Well, I sit here and I think about it and tinker with it and turn off the damn camera, and I will turn it back on when I figure something out. All right, so, damn, I start every sentence with all right, so I hate it. I hate doing that. Anyway, as I was saying, I think hardline is the only option. I went through all these fittings, I went through all my adapters, I tried every configuration, and I couldn't come up with anything that was gonna work. I even looked through all my old box of lines, but I think hardline is gonna be the move. So essentially, you know, you have to cut a piece of it. I luckily have exactly 2 tube nuts left in size 8. Oh, let me make sure these are 8 actually, before I say that. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, I have 2 tube nuts left. It was meant to be. They were in here from a previous project. I luckily have plenty of hardline in the correct size, 1/2 inch or -8 AN, same. And so I think it'll look clean and it'll be PTFE proof, so it checks all the boxes. And I've got it in the stock, so it checks that box too. And so that's what I'm gonna do. So, got my cutter here. Let's go take a look at about how long it should be. Wow. This can be rotated to whatever position. So it's not really a problem. Might want a little bit more bend on it actually. Just to prove to you guys how dedicated I am to this. Look how dumb I look right now. This is so difficult to work with, but it's for the sake of the video. So you guys give me a little like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that action, and we'll get back to editing because it takes forever. We're getting shit done and we're excited about Drift Week, and the time is running out.